This is a cheaper version of something that was already good. Same idea, similar specs, but a few things you only notice once you've used the Pro. This is the X1-Lite-255 with Radeon 780M. No AI tricks, no NPU, just raw CPU plus iGPU and one very important feature, expandability. Remember at the start when I said things were stripped back? This is what I meant. First thing, you'll notice the downgrade. This isn't aluminium like the Pro. It's plastic. It doesn't feel bad, but it definitely doesn't feel premium. And yeah, no built-in speaker either. So this version is clearly about cutting costs, not adding polish. Inside the box though, you still get pretty much everything you'd actually need. Screws, power cable, a 120 watts power brick, a 1 meter HDMI cable, spare rubber feet, a VESA mount if you want to hide it behind a monitor or TV, and the OCuLink adapter which we'll test properly later in the video. Still, it's compact, minimal, easy to hide behind a monitor, function over phone. Ports are solid, USB4, HDMI, DisplayPort, 2.5G LAN and OCuLink, but quick reality check. If you're thinking laptop style docking station setup, don't. This works best direct, not clever. Plug monitors straight in, avoid overcomplicating it. Inside we got Ryzen 7-255 and Radeon 780M. This combo is known, reliable, efficient, predictable, but not exciting on its own. So this is where the UM880 Plus actually gets interesting because it's not just a sealed mini PC, it's expandable. First step, getting inside isn't obvious, you got to remove the rubber feet and underneath those are 4 hidden screws. Once those are out, the bottom panel comes off. But be careful here, there's a fan cable attached to the lid. Don't yank it. It's easy to forget in the moment, but you don't want to snap that connector. And before anyone asks, no, replacing the fan really isn't necessary. It's already quiet and there's nothing exotic in the cooling setup anyway. No heat pipes, no vapor chamber, just a clean, simple airflow design that does the job. Now, inside, this is the layout. You've got 2 NVMe slots. One is already occupied with 1TB PCIe Gen 4 M2 2280 SSD, in this case a crucial P310. The second slot is where things get interesting. You can add another NVMe drive here for extra storage, but there's a trade-off. If you use that second slot, you lose ability to install the OCuLink adapter, so it's either extra internal storage or external GPU expansion via OCuLink. Next, memory. You've got 2 SODIMM slots here. In this unit, it's running 2 16GB DDR5, but it's fully upgradable up to 2 48GB if you really want to push it. And this is the key part, flexibility. Now, the OCuLink adapter simply slots into that secondary PCIe position. You just line it up carefully with the rear cutout and it clicks into place. Now, if OCuLink isn't important for your use case, then no problem, you can still run storage expansion and even pair it with USB4 eGPU setups. That's it. Once it's seated, we can close everything back up and move on to actually testing it. And if you jump into the BIOS, it's actually fairly straightforward, not with vendor lockdowns and no overcomplicated menus. One important thing though, resize bar support is already enabled by default, and that matters because whether you use an OCuLink or USB4 for an external GPU, it makes the whole setup far more plug and play. Now, you can also tweak fan behavior directly in BIOS, so if you want silent mode, balanced operation or maximum cooling performance, you can tune that here depending on your setup. There's also an option to disable the internal GPU entirely when running an external GPU, but honestly, from my own testing, I wouldn't recommend doing it through BIOS. A much cleaner approach is simply disabling the iGPU directly inside Windows Device Manager. That gives you basically the same result without creating recovery headaches later. Simple BIOS, useful functions, and thankfully nothing overly complicated. Change what you need, save and exit, done. So in real use and workflow, no issues. Office work, multitasking, file management, it all just works. And funnily enough, this actually became the machine I was using to manage my entire NAS setup. And that setup got interesting enough that the next video is probably going to surprise a lot of people because I've been properly testing what might generally be the best home NAS solution I've personally used so far. The Ugreen DH2300, not sponsored, no fluff, just real world testing. So if you're into compact setups, home labs, apps or private local infrastructure, you'll probably want to see that one. Anyway, back to the X1-Lite. Let's check some numbers. In Geekbench, it gets 2,434 in single and 12,411 in multi-core. Just over 31,000 points in OpenCL for GPU. Translation: fast for normal work, excellent for multitasking, fine for media, office work, even for light video edits in CapCut if you're into it. But realistically, this isn't designed as a heavy gaming machine. Now, interestingly, with a bit of BIOS tweaking, switching the iGPU profile to UMA game optimized and changing the system from balanced into performance mode, you can squeeze a little more out of it. Not a night and day difference, but enough to show there's still some tuning if you want to squeeze a bit more performance. Talking of which, gaming on its own, Stardew Valley, perfect. Roblox, absolutely smooth. PS2 emulation, flawless. The Vice City runs beautifully, so yeah, light gaming, it's not a problem. Then I tried Star Wars, minimum settings, and it's struggling around 30 FPS in busy scenes, and visually it's not great. So let's be clear, 780M is fine until you actually need power. This is where things get interesting. I connected it to DG2 dock and an RTX 5080. Yes, completely overkill, but this is what this system is designed for. Now, this part matters. It's not fully plug and play. You need to do a couple of things right. Power the GPU first, then turn on the mini PC. And to avoid conflicts, disable the internal Radeon graphics. Now in Geekbench OpenCL from 31,000 to over 215,000. That's not an upgrade, that's a completely different system. And now real gaming after eGPU. Same setup, same machine, Star Wars Outlaws. Before barely playable, now look at this. Smooth, stable, looks how it should. This is the moment it stops being a mini PC and becomes a modular system. Now here's the argument people always bring up, why not just build a gaming PC? Fair, but here's the problem, try selling that tower in 2 years, not fun. And with this, you keep the GPU, keep the dock, you upgrade the mini PC. Done, that's the advantage. Let's see at the thermals and noise. The cooling is solid, no overheating issues, no annoying fan noise. It stays quiet even under load. Minisforum consistently gets this right. So on its own, it's decent, but nothing special, with an eGPU completely different level. So if you treat this like a mini PC, you'll miss the point. If you treat it like a modular system, this starts to make a lot of sense. Doesn't feel bad, but it definitely doesn't feel premium, and there's no built-in speaker either. So this version is clearly about cutting costs, not adding polish. Still, it's compact, minimal, easy to hide behind a monitor. Function over form. Agree, disagree, hit me in the comments. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe. I know you want to.
Family Pop TV.